loving sisters side and side, sing out love and sing out. Well, two loving sisters side and side, boys are bound for me. Well, two loving sisters side and side, the eldest one for Johnny be kind. And I'll be kind to my true love, he'll be kind to me. Well, Johnny gave the youngest a gay gold ring, sing out love and sing out. Well, Johnny gave the youngest a gay gold ring, boys are bound for me. Well, Johnny gave the youngest a gay gold ring, he didn't buy the eldest a single thing. And I'll be kind to my true love, he'll be kind to me. Well, two loving sisters going downstream, sing out love and sing out. Well, two loving sisters going downstream, boys are bound for me. Well, two loving sisters go downstream, the eldest pushed the youngest in. And I'll be kind to my true love, he'll be kind to me. Well, the way she sang and the way she swam, sing out love and sing out. And the way she sang and the way she swam, boys are bound for me. Well, the way she sang and the way she swam, the miller brought her safe to land. And I'll be kind to my true love, he'll be kind to me. Well, the miller hung from the gallows high, sing out to him and sing out. Yes, the miller hung from the gallows high, boys are bound for me. Well, the miller hung from the gallows high, the eldest sister swung the post right. And I'll be kind to my true love, he'll be kind to me. Yes, I'll be kind to my true love, he'll be kind to me. Thank y'all. I'm actually going to open up the floor for questions after this because I know some people told me when I got here that they had questions, and I love to answer questions, especially about this project because, you know, I could talk about it for probably several weeks and not get bored. So, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sing you a song that came from a woman named F. Sobey Mitchell. And F. Sobey is one of two women in the entire world named F. Sobey. Because that is not a very common name. The only people named that are her and her grandmother. You know, they came to North Carolina from Georgia, ended up in Yancey County, and Cecil Sharp, when he stopped in with them, said that they were the lowest of the lows in the area. You know, even the poor people looked down on the Mitchells, basically. They didn't have much, and he said when he was collecting ballots that sometimes he would be in a room, a one-room schoolhouse. Oh, I'm glad you like that. It would be in a one-room house, basically, and there would be 20 of the family. There would be 20 of the family in one room. And Cecil said he was so overwhelmed, but so pleasantly surprised by the Mitchells and how considerate and caring they were. Although you'll come to find that was just sort of typical for people in that area. They cared about other people. This is called Every Night When the Sun Goes In, and she actually learned it from a black lady that would come with her sister from Johnson City. And it's kind of a mixture of an old English ballad and an old black song. Every night when the sun goes in, every night when the sun goes in, every night train would come. Lord, I wish that my train would come and me poor girl were dead and gone. I'll hang down my head and mournful cry. Once my apron hit the road, once my apron hit the road, He followed me through sleet and snow. I'll hang down my head and mournful cry. Now my apron's to my chin. Now my apron's to my chin. He'll face my door, but he won't come in. I'll hang down my head and mournful cry. Lord, I wish that my babe was born. Lord, I wish that my babe was born and me poor girl were dead and gone. I'll hang down my head and mournful cry. No, it's not a ballad I'm going to do today. F. Soby's mother was a woman named Hannah. And Hannah, it's my understanding that their family had some native blood in it somehow. It was possibly Cherokee from what I've read. And Hannah had some really interesting ballads that I've never heard. And it leads me to believe that maybe they were culturally significant to her because they might have come from somewhere else beyond the Appalachian Mountains. And one she used to sing was called The Lost Babe, and I can't perform it here because I find it very brutal. I mean, it's about a baby getting lost on the Pioneer Trail, basically, and then what buzzard eats it. But I mean, that was the sort of content that the Mitchells shared. That was their discography. It was all morbid, awful stuff. And the funniest thing about it is they were the sweetest people. Cecil said they were just the nicest people you'd ever meet. They kept him fed and stable and happy, and they were just great, apparently. So I have photos of them that I really enjoy that I got from the foundation over in London that's under his name. The next ballad I'm going to play for y'all is called Swan of No Town. It comes from one of the women on the ballad that I spent the most time researching, or the women on the project, excuse me, I'm thinking about ballads. Her name was Julie Boone. And Julie, when I first started, was kind of a mystery to me. I couldn't find anything about her. No one knew about her. And then I figured out why. Julie was born into this family. Her father sang a lot of ballads. She learned most of them from him. All sorts of old ballads that he had got on his way back from the Civil War and all over the state, basically, and all over the country that he had absorbed. And she knew tons of super old stuff because of that. But her life was really tragic. It wasn't short of tragedy at all. As she got older, her father married another woman after her mother passed away, and with her came dysfunction. She had 2 sons, and those stepbrothers that were brought into her home kind of uprooted her home life. And that's when she became sort of a vagabond. She would wander and wander and wander barefoot, like all night, throughout the valley, finding somewhere to sleep, whether it be a hay bale or a barn loft, or on the road, or on a rock. She would sleep anywhere. And all that says to me is literally anywhere else is better than home. She just did not want to be there. And then she had a baby. That didn't make her stop her roaming at all. In fact, it intensified it, so she didn't want to bring the baby home. And this little baby she carried everywhere with her. I mean, all over, like Micahville and Burnsville and Yancey County, all over the place. And when Cecil found her, she was 49, and that son was long gone, he moved off. And it took her 3 days, it took him 3 days to locate her. because he could not find her. He was told there was a woman in the community who was crazy, but knew all the old ballads. He was like, well, I have to find this crazy woman. She's going to have good songs, but it took him 3 whole days because he couldn't find her. He looked all up and down, all the places she was known to walk, and finally he found her on the road, and she was basically still running from him when he got her to sit down in Campbell and sing. And she proceeded to unload some of the oldest songs we have from the area. I mean, songs that are so not far removed from the English versions of them that she's singing the exact same melody, the exact same words as broadsides that were printed in the 1600s. And this was 1918. But we lost our most prolific ballad singer. She contributed almost 40 songs to this man because her stepbrother, after her father died, was no longer there to, vouch for Julia and be like, she's just Julia, that's just what she does. Her stepbrother dropped her off and brought her to a mental institution and left her there for 30 years until she died. And so when Cecil's assistant came back to the area with a tape recorder, hoping to get physical recordings of these people, everyone in the community told them that Julia was dead. That she had died a long time ago. She wasn't there. What he didn't know is she was really right down the highway. The only act of mercy I've ever seen in her story in her life is that when she died, rather than having her buried in the anonymous lot I brought up, someone sent money to have her returned home to Michaelville to be buried there. I don't know who that person was. I don't know why that happened. It might have been her son, but I don't know. That was the only thing in Julie's life where anyone ever showed her any grace. And then she was finally at peace. When I returned to look for this grave, she did the exact same thing she did to Cecil. I couldn't find her. I know she's buried there because her death certificate says she is. I looked for hours. There's no Julie. She's literally a ghost. And when I named Reverend, I didn't know all this. And now I do. And Reverend is someone who comes back from death. And I feel like her entire life that's what she was doing. They said she was dead, but she wasn't. She was right down the road. But anyways, her son actually lived to be 104 and had a pretty normal life. He lived on Upper Brown Street. So. But this is the lullaby. She sang that baby while she was walking around. It was called Swan and Noah's Town. And she sang that sweet little baby, that song as they were sleeping in hay bales and lofts and all sorts of crazy places. It's about Swan and Noah. I'm going back, that's one of the times. fairly recently, really, in the grand scheme of things, but I never did get to speak to him. Next song I'm going to play is called Samuel Young. And the fascinating thing about Samuel Young is it's not a ballad from North Carolina, it's from Kentucky. But no one was ever recorded singing it anywhere but Burnsville, North Carolina. We know it's from around the time of the Mexican-American War. We don't know anything else about it, but all we know is Sina Boone sang it. And Sina was this big, plump, happy woman who lived in Burnsville, and she had this porch. I've only seen a few photos of her. One of them is with her milk cow. I'm very proud of this cow. She was literally half the size of the cow. She was like that big, literally like that big. And her husband was a Bowditch. And so Bowditch Bottom, if you ever run out of the road, it's near there. Anyways, but on her porch she had a spinster wheel, so she was making yarn. She had a loom, she was making fabric for the family. She had tobacco hanging from the ceiling all over the place. She had jars, she was canning. She had a full-time job at that house, and she had many, many children. She sang several ballads, and when Cecil visited her, he said she was just so happy that someone was there and wanted to hear her songs. So she had a bunch, and he was on that porch for a long time. However, he said he left at dinner because he could not bear to eat what they were eating. It was like corn bush or something that they were having for dinner, and he left because he was English, I guess. Although they're one to talk, aren't they? They ate a lot of bushes over there. Anyways, but this is called Samuel Young. Welcome, all you people, old and young. Come listen to my feeble song. 'Cause I relate before I come the certain death of Samuel Young. Because he loved a lady fair, whose father was a snareling there, saying, "You shall know, I'll let you know, to fight the foe in Mexico, and my race is nearly run under this." And some of the ballads cases, Cecil would come and he'd be collecting so many that he'd only take a fragment. He would take a singular line, and that's all you had. And so if you're like me and you're looking specifically for Julie Boone or Claire Deaton or any of those women, you're devastated when you see that. You're like, what? Where's the whole song? And so when I found one of Julie Boone's songs that I wanted to collect it that much, just a couple lines, I was like, well, I guess I can just finish writing it. That also works. So that's what I did in this case. These are banjos from Ryan Navy, who lives in Midland, North Carolina. And he makes them out of like old barrels and things. And he lives in this little brick house, and in every corner, antiques are crammed up to his ceiling. He's addicted. He literally has a shopping addiction, but it's only for wooden interior antique furniture. That's it. It's very niche, but it's his niche. And there is no space in his house. I mean, I can see that the floor was carpet at one point, but there's like so much stuff. It's just him and his cat in a banjo shop. That's all. Anyways, this is called Sweet William's Ghost, and there's an old time ballad in the same thing, but this is like my version. I'm so pitifully out of tune. I'm sorry, I got a tune. I'm not pleased. Much better. Y'all are probably like, what is she talking about? I didn't think anything. Anyways, back to Sweet William's Ghost. called The Minstrel of Brushy Creek, which you might know where Brushy Creek is. But this song was actually, it's kind of unique because it's not an old English ballad. It was written right here, like in Spruce Pine. There was a young man named Jack Hartley. Whenever the railroad came through, the Clinchfield line we used to have, and I guess we probably still do. I don't know much about trains, to be honest. But there used to be engine number 99, and the man that drove it was named Edward Lewis. But he dropped dead in Spruce Pine from a heart attack or something. I don't know. He just fell out one day and was gone. That was it. Everyone dies in these stories. That's how it goes. And when he died, a little man named Jack Hartley, he might have been actually a teenager or something, saw his funeral procession as they drove his engine through the mountain with his casket on the back, and was so moved that he wrote a little poem about it. And he brought it to his friend Doc Compass, who went, well, I write songs, I guess I can do something with that. And he wrote On the World of Edward Lewis. And a long time ago, very long ago, John Lomax came through and recorded Doc Compass, and then who's the elder Seeger? Is it Pete Seeger or Mike Seeger? I don't really know. Is it Mike? It's Mike. Mike came through and learned it off of Doc Compass and made sure he got the right lyrics because Doc Compass has a very thick accent and it's hard to tell sometimes. But they do it in last chance tuning, which is super unique for the area and totally unique to Doc Compass. Y'all hear how I'm on an open tuning now? Pretty nice. Anyways, this is called A Memorial to Edward Lewis. We can hear how different signal up and down that Clinchfield line. Since the hand of Edward Lewis goes no more on Old 99, goes no more on Old 99. But we'll miss him, oh yes, we'll miss him. Up and down that Clinchfield line. Since the hand of old Edward Lewis goes no more on Old 99, goes no more on Old 99. it and all that stuff. It took like 4 days. But I found all the information. I figured out he was actually buried in Tennessee. And they buried him, and around his grave, they had a bunch of old train parts that made the fence around it. I mean, this man's life was trains. Like, that was what he was into, and that's cool. I don't know much about that, but I'm glad he did. And it's amazing that we have this song. I mean, someone was so touched by that funeral procession. They're going to tell them what else we've missed in the area and what songs we don't have. And that bothers me every night before bed. Like, that's my last thought before I go to bed. But I figured I'd tell a story for my family while I'm talking about this. My mom's looking at me like, oh, please, what is she going to say? I'm going to go with the monkey story. So, my name is Murphy. And I take that from my great-great-grandmother, Harriet Hollifield. Actually, my great-great-great-grandmother, Harriet Hollifield Murphy, who had a pet monkey. And it was a spider monkey. But it was vicious and it was mean. It was not a pleasant pet. I don't know why she had it or how that happened. I know there used to be a circus or a fair that came through the area, and they might have sold off like one of the monkeys to play the organs or something to her. I don't know. All I know is that one day she was on her porch, and the lunch came out, and it startled her, and she fell off the porch, and she broke her hip, and she died. You're allowed to laugh at this. I laugh about it too. She probably laughs about it. I mean, the Hollifields are very sensible and humorous. So, yeah, it's okay. Come on. Okay. Anyway, so that's a little story I like to tell. That's on a more positive note of our family, though, the things we did that were good and influential and positive in the community. Mama and Papa, I recently ran into a man when I was at Kona, which is where I'm recording off of that old Kona church where Charlie Silver is buried in his 3 separate graves because they kept finding different parts of him and burying myself. It's okay. Anyway, so I was there one day, doing some test runs. We made sure the sound in the space was good, and guess what? It's perfect. It's a church. This man walks over the front door and he's like, "What's going on in there? What's happening?" And I walk outside and it's Garrett, who I've never met before, but then I met him, and I've never forgiven him at all. But I had my banjo, and we started talking about that. And he was like, "Who are you kin to?" Because that's the first thing anyone asks you here. They're like, "Who are you related to?" And I was like, "Well, Dan and Georgia Jerry are my papa and mama, and they lived across the street." And he immediately was like, "Oh," he like pushed me. I almost fell down. He pushed me so hard. He was like, "I can't believe that." He was like, "They were the finest, most stand-up people in all the land, basically." And he was like, "I worked at your grandpa's chicken coop." And I was like, "I didn't even know he had chicken." And he was like, "Yes, this was a long time ago." It's like, and I worked there, and he said, "Your papa would work me to death, and your mama would feed me to death." And he's like, "I almost died every time I went over there." And so I talked to him for a long time, and and then he got a little sappy. He dropped the humor a little bit, and he was like, "But your family, they were pioneers." That's the word he used, and I remember that for a long time. He said they were musical pioneers. And he said they brought songs to us that we wouldn't have been playing otherwise. And they went around and they did these church singings, and they made everyone feel welcome in a way that no one's forgotten. Everyone's always like, "Dan in Georgia, that's awesome, And so I think about him a lot, and I'm sure I'll see him again because he's just sort of a local character. But, to hear someone tell you that your family were pioneers in music, and he didn't even know about the ballads or any of that, That was just from the actions of my great-grandparents, them just being good to people. That's all it was. And they were very religious people. I mean, he said that Campbell was straight as a stick. They didn't miss church. They were constantly at church. My mom remembers she used to go to the singings and things with them and fall asleep in the pew because she didn't want to sing all those songs. But it's stuff like that I think about most often when I'm working on this project. Excuse me, I have to tune extensively for a moment. The next song I'm playing comes from a woman named Queen Bill Randolph. Queen was a very large character, like everyone else seemed to be, but especially large. She was a very religious woman. And when her son left us in Vietnam and he didn't come back, this was the song she wrote. Although she said that she didn't write it, that the Lord said it to her and she was just the vessel for that creation. She said it about every song she ever wrote. And she wrote several, countless songs. I have all these old tape reels of all this stuff. But I play this one. It's called Dear Little Soldier Boy. And it's no weird tuning because that's kind of how I operate. takes her time. So anyway, so this is called Dear Little Soldier Boy, and that's what she wrote when her son passed away in Vietnam, and he just never came back, and that's what she wrote it about. And it makes people cry every time I play it. It's kind of ridiculous, so I apologize in advance. I don't mean to make you get teary, but you might. Our dear little soldier, our dear little soldier boy, who lost his life, his precious life. Our dear little soldier boy, well, Sarah was his mama's name. Well, Sarah was his mama's name, and once was he on his mama's knee. Well, Sarah was his mama's name. Well, he passed her by one day. Well, he passed her by one day. He turned away, not much to say. Well, he passed her by one day to tell his mama goodbye. Well, to tell his mama goodbye with that pack on his back, but he never came back to tell his mama goodbye. Well, that train is coming for me. Well, that train is coming for me. And when that train comes, I'll soon be alone. Well, that train is coming for me. She's expecting him back one day. She's expecting him back one day. But when he comes back, there'll be no pack on his back. Just a pair of golden wings. How are we doing on time? We're about there. Question time, you think? What I'd like to do. There's a song I haven't really done at all, really live, that's from this project, and it's so significant to me because it comes from the town of Exeter. It's in the title, A Nobleman from Exeter. And my relative Julie Boone had it. And I discovered upon doing this project actually quite recently that it was passed down through the Boone line, like Squire Boone, Daniel Boone lines. Like these are songs the men in that family were singing. And it's so well connected to the place they immigrated from in Devon. They were situated in for generations all the way back. They came from Scotland to Devon, or at least the furthest back Boone woman did. She might have married a man in Devon. And there was Exeter. And there's this ballad from Exeter that somehow hundreds of years later is still being sung exactly how they sing it. In the 1600s, it's recorded in England. And it's done by Julie Boone. And I've never done it for a crowd, actually, so this will be, we'll see how this goes. I might fall out of my chair before I get to do it. and said, tomorrow you was to be wed. Yes, sir, she says, that is very true. And if I am, what's that to you? Tears stopped his speech, no more could say. Out of his arms she flung away. She left him there and tears alone, with a heart as cold as lead or stone. There is a river near this town, and floods of cries he walked down. He threw himself in with great cries, and never more was seen to rise. That night his ghost reappeared to her. It's all my cries won't make you believe. It's all my cries won't make you hear. He took her soul up in the air. It's all your cries could never save. Your perjured body from the grave. Tonight you'll lie with me in clay. And hence he took her straight away. Well, now I'm opening the floor to all questions. So anyone that has a question about anything that I just did or anything in general, is now open to ask.
So if we could, if you need to leave, let me know, because I've just shared with you, Murphy, is that I've double parked everybody out there. So if you need to leave, come tap me and we'll try to make it happen.
Yes.
So we've only been on the bench for a couple of years.
Yes, it's been maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. Yeah.
So where did that confidence and maturity come from?
I don't know. I appreciate you saying that, but I
No,
think
truly you do. You have that.
our mama.
I mean, maybe it's a question for your mother, but I mean, have you been storytelling for a long time?
I've not been storytelling like this for a long time, but I'm the queen of exaggeration. I've always been good at that.
Well, too bad because you're really good at it.
Well, I don't exaggerate anything here tonight. That's all true.
So we're thank you for it.
Yeah, of course. My brother was the one that actually had the banjo first in the house. He got it years ago, like when we were still living in like Davidson County in that area, and he had this bluegrass banjo. It was super loud and brass. I hated the sound of it. I couldn't stand it because he was playing stroke style, and all I heard all day was and I couldn't stand it. And eventually, when he left for college, he left it like behind his door. And I was the younger sibling, so I was in his room looking for what I could now acquire now that he was not going to be in the house. And there was the banjo, and I was like, well, they'll finally let me mess with it. So that's what I did, and he never took it back. So, yeah. Anyone else?
So I really love the movie Songcatcher, and she was collecting the ballads. What's the connection? Was that just made up? And with Cecil?
No. She's supposed to be all of Dan Campbell, the woman in that story. And at the very end, if you remember the funky British man that comes in on a wagon, that's supposed to be Cecil Sharp.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot the name, but one of the earlier songs you sang, someone was at the gallows, and I missed how that happened. That
Two
part of the
sisters,
story.
probably. I think there are a lot of there's like spooky stuff going on in all these. Two Sisters is about two twin sisters, and they're both in love with the same man. One is dark and the other is fair. And the man gets the youngest sister, the fair sister, a golden ring, and wants to marry her. The eldest sister is not so fond of that idea, so she decides to push her younger sister into a river. Her into a fiddle, and they use her hair to make a bow to play it. Not in this version, and there's several variations from this county too, and like Yancey and Mitchell, where at the end, rather than the miller being hung, or the sister being hung, it's like the miller's boiled in lead, and the other sister was, you know, like burnt dead or something like that. All sorts of, there's lots of variation. So, yes.
I have more of a personal question. How do you do all this, and you just graduated high school, is that true?
Yeah, I graduated last spring.
Last spring?
Or this past, that was February, this past February.
Okay,
Yes.
are you homeschooled, or did you go? How do you have time to do all this?
I don't know, I just started, I'm really grateful that I ended up being in public school. I don't think my parents ever considered an alternative, but they were like, you're going to school. But because I was around so many different people that I began to appreciate my culture more because I was around different things, you know, and I realized, okay, well, we all have our own place and things, and, you know, like, things that come from us in our line. And I saw so many different variants, because I was being bused, or not bused, but like, I was driving all the way to Greensboro to go to school, and high school in downtown Greensboro, which was pretty far from my house. Just so I could experience, you know, better high school and a different experience. It was a magnet school, it was free to get into. And I was like studying computer engineering there with recording software. That's what I was doing there. But I did, you know, I left this past year and that was it. And I don't think I'll ever go back to school, but I really, you know, I think it helped me do what I'm doing now. But I was really busy, you know, I would go to school and then go do music stuff in the evening. You know, as my mom remembers, I was like constantly not home. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you said that you just discovered all of this recently, and a lot of it was on your birthday.
Yeah.
You recorded on your birthday.
Yeah.
What was the background of that? Why was that? Did this happen to you that day?
I think it's a divine intervention. Cecil was on a venture through the Southern Appalachians when he stopped in Birdsville. And he stopped in Marion, and you know, he came from Winston to Marion, and then he came to Burnsville because he was told that's where the ballads were. And for whatever reason, he happened to be there the day of my birthday and for the weeks onward. And it was just very interesting, like Samuel Young is a good example. That was collected on my birthday. And it's very interesting. It was like,
How did you find them?
well, I had a friend, and his name was Bruce Green. We were talking about him earlier, and he lives on CeeLo. And a long time ago, he taught me two sisters before I even knew it was someone that was related to me. And he talked to me, and we didn't really talk about who it came from. He said it was some woman in Yancey County. And then later on, he was like, you know, you should really look through like Southern Appalachian compilation album of ballads that Cecil Sharp did. I found it online. Someone had scanned the PDF. You can't hardly buy them anymore. I just started looking through it, and I was like, oh, I recognize that name. Or I've seen that in the family tree because I really like genealogy. I know where everything starts and ends in our family tree, and so I started recognizing people. And I realized that I had to do something about it because I already played the band. You know, it was like, might as well sing their songs.
All the time with your grandparents, so did they play regionally, or did they just play in their church, or how?
Just church. It was.
Okay.
They would travel to churches. I mean, they would go do singings in churches. But that's what's so interesting about ballads. They kind of died out in Yancey and Mitchell County. Like Madison County, you're always like, oh, ballads, ballads, ballads. Yancey and Mitchell County had a strong ballad tradition, but because of the religious influence, sacred music became more important. And that was already happening in the early 1900s. Cecil complained several times of people he would go to see who did know old ballads but wouldn't sing them because they were now singing religious pieces. And it was just priorities had shifted, things were different. People were getting more into the church, basically, and singing hymns from church. And it kind of, you know, one thing was more favored than the other, and that was what happened.
You already talked about Two Sisters some, and I noticed that connection with Cold Rain and Snow or Wind and Rain. And
Yeah.
I also noticed that song Swananoa Town
Yeah.
being real similar to Swananoa Tunnel, kind of.
They are, yeah, they come from
And
the same.
is one of them predate the other? Do you know the connection between those?
I want to say Swananoa Tunnel's the original, and what happened with Julie is she probably just heard it somewhere, because as much as she moved around, she might have just heard it. And she also was around a lot of the African American population. She spent a lot of time, actually she attended a black church consistently, and a lot of her songs came from that black church. And Swananoa Tunnel, I know, is historically a black song, so she probably picked it up there from someone. And it might have been Swananoa Tunnel, and maybe she just messed around with it, or maybe that person messed around with it. There's no telling, you know, what happened with it. But I would say Swananoa Tunnel is the original, because we know people were singing that while building the Swananoa Tunnel years prior to Julie's being collected. Yeah.
you're going to record in Kona?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, and Kona's where the silver,
Yes.
the whole thing was.
Yeah.
Okay. When will we be able to hear your recording or buy your recording?
We're trying to have it out in the fall. This has been an entirely independent effort. I've had no one back me. However, I have had the Kickstarter where people were funding me, but I don't have a label or licensing or a manager or a booking agent or any of the normal things that most people would have at this point in their career. So I kind of get to make up my own timeline, and I'm grateful for that. I can put out whatever I want, but I'm hoping to have it out in September. I'm actually hoping to put it out on my birthday. So, or at least release some on the dates that those same ballots were collected. I'm hoping to maybe do that. So, anyone else? Y'all are done? That's okay.
Join me in thanking her again, please. As a guide, I'm going to go out and help with the cars, knowing who should go first, second, and so forth. So, Murphy, thank you so much
Of
for
course,
being
yeah.
here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's amazing how many people came. I really appreciate that. It's very cool to see how many people were here.
And hopefully you'll come back. If you don't have a faith community, please feel free to come on Sunday. I'll be here. There's a number of our members that are here as well, and would love to see you again. So thank you all for coming out tonight.
Tell everybody to take some wood when they leave.
He said, tell everybody to take some wood if you want. Yeah, thank you all.
What about your offering?
Oh, right. So Julie Lehman is going to be out front. She's waiting right now. There is an offertory plate out there. Please consider being part of the Creation Care Alliance. They're doing great work. Just to know that my connection to it is, I used to be the chair of Western North Carolina Alliance, which became Mountain True. I was the French Broad River Keeper, the first one in the region before Hartwell Carson, and now the newest one. So that's my connection to Mountain True. And Julie and I used to work at Warren Wilson College years ago. So this is an awesome program. It is our way, our church's way of engaging in creation care to make this possible. So thank you all for coming out tonight.
We're going to cover that. Yeah, I will. If I only got Kate, what's your relationship with I'll show her the future. Oh, so sorry. All right. No, I was like, yeah. When they let nobody else preach, you go down. Yeah.
Maybe when I first started here 20 years ago, we had a whole
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't come yeah. She might not think, but that might be a crazy lady. Mama,
I know when I see kids. Yeah.